Hello everyone. Welcome back to ProMind classes. Hope that you all are doing well. In today's TED Talk series, we are going to discuss the impact of Budget 2022 on Indian economy in various sectors. Amid lingering global headwinds and economy uncertainty, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman continued to prioritize growth over fiscal consolidation. For the second straight year, sharply expanding capital and infrastructure spending in the union budget for the year starting 1st April 2022. Now we will discuss the proposal and impacts of various sectors in Union Budget 2022. Oil and gas. Proposals. The budget has proposed an increase in capex outlay by 35.4%, expansion of national highways network by 15% and addition of 25,000 kilometers of roads, development of 4 multimodal logistic parks in the coming year. Focus on electric vehicle charging infra and a new battery swapping policy. It also proposed a gradual reduction in custom duties by 7.5% for all projects. Capital goods imports an allocation of rupees 9500 crore for production linked incentive PLI scheme for manufacturing of polysilicon solar modules. Impact. A better infrastructure connectivity will provide significant impetus on oil and gas projects. With refineries being set up in South India and pipelines and city gas projects across the country. In addition, new highways and EV and battery swapping push will provide a great avenue for retail growth for oil marketing companies to increase retail outlets and offering to customers. Differential duty on unblended fuel to incentivize biofuel blending will be boost to oil and gas companies which are already transitioning to new energy areas. Renewable and greener power to decarbonize their operation. This will open up additional avenues of financing and support for green projects taken up by all oil companies in biofuel and green hydrogen as well. Consumer durables. Proposal to boost consumption and empower the rural economy. The finance minister has announced several measures such as a support for millet production, reduced dependence on imported oilseeds, finance startup for agriculture and rural enterprise pretend to form produced value chain, custom exemptions and implements and tools for farm sectors have also been rationalized to boost domestic manufacturing. Impact. The government's impetus on PM Gati Shakti plan to build world-class infrastructures and logistics is likely to give boost to consumer sector supply chain over a longer term. Further, custom duty rates have been rationalized on parts of mobile phones, including camera modules, wearables, hearables devices, loudspeakers, etc., to facilitate domestic electronic manufacturing. To incentivize exports, exemptions have been provided on items relevant to textile sector. Lastly, to facilitate the domestic capital goods sectors, it have been proposed to gradually phase out the concessional rates of capital goods in sectors like fertilizers, textile, leather goods, footwear, food processing, etc. All these are likely to act as catalyst for improving the conditions of lower income consumers, thereby leading to a steady acceleration in consumption and demand for FMCG sector products. Banking proposals. The government has proposed to introduce a digital rupee using blockchain and other technologies, issued by the Revenue Bank of India (RBI) starting 2022 to 23 for more effective and cheaper currency management. Further, to help micro and small medium enterprises impacted by pandemic. The Credit Guaranteed Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises will be revamped with additional credit of rupees 2 trillion and thereby expand employment opportunities. Post office accounts will be brought under the coverage of core banking. Impact. The budget proposals are aimed at boosting credit growth of both bank and non-banking financial companies, with scheme announced across various sectors including affordable housing, transportation, logistic and electric vehicles, etc. With 1.5 lakh post office coming under core banking, more than 35 crore post office deposits account will come into mainline banking and payment system. The proposal for 75 digital bank units in 75 districts is a small step but a definite push towards digital banking. Digital rupee is another step towards government's adoption of digital as means of transaction banking. Auto proposals. The Finance Minister has announced a new battery swap policy to encourage electric vehicle adoption. The government also proposed to open up defense research and development to private players for auto component development. Impact. A policy for battery swapping will aid in reducing the upward ownership cost of EVs, thereby driving customers' preference towards such vehicles. This policy is also expected to encourage private sectors to develop sustainable and innovative business models for battery or energy as a service. Further, interoperability standards will build efficiencies in operation of charging infrastructures for EVs. The government will facilitate special mobility zone for EVs as well as push for clean tech and electric vehicle in public transport. This changes, along with recently announced production link incentives for EVs, would give necessary flip to EV revolution in India. The extension of concessional income tax regime of 15% for new domestic manufacturing facilities set up to 31st March 2024 is a welcome move and would help to attract new investment in manufacturing of EVs and its components. The incentives announced for startups could also be a booster for EVs. Defense proposals. The budget has proposed the highest ever allocation for defense sector at rupees 5.25 trillion for first year 2022 to 23 with a significant increase of about 10% from last year. Vice versa, a nominal increase of 1.45% in 2021 to 2022. Impact. The proposals will go a long way in modernizing the Indian Armed Force further, while ensuring the current government's commitment to reduce dependence on import of defense equipment. Another notable update in the area of defense is the opening up of defense research and development for industry. Startups and academia are making 25% of defense R&D budget for them. This is a positive move which will be help to leverage the capabilities of private industries in defense research. Additionally, an independent nodal umbrella body will be set up for meeting wide-range testing and certification requirements. In order to avail the preferential 15% corporate tax rate, the deadline for commencement of manufacturing operations is proposed to be extended on 31st March 2024 from 31st March 2023. Since state-of-the-art defense projects involve huge investment and time cost, this will further incentive domestic manufacturing in the sector. The budget further showcased the government's interest in defense sector. Healthcare proposals. The government has made a path-breaking move with introduction of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission in Budget 2022 to ensure universal access to healthcare facilities to all Indian citizens in the longer run. However, there have been no policy amendments to facilitate private participation to provide an impetus in strengthening the overall healthcare infrastructure and accessible to healthcare service. Impact. The government has extended the benefit of concessional tax regime for manufacturing companies. The government has also considered the sector of sunrise opportunity sector that will benefit from further supportive policies among other things. The government, however, did not consider the long-standing demand expectations of industries to intensive research and development needed to enable India to move from being an incremental innovator to becoming a global player in innovative drugs. Startups proposals. The existing tax benefit for startups have been extended by one more year till 31st of March 2023. Also, a fund raised under the co-investment model will be facilitated through National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development (NABARD) to finance startups for agriculture and rural enterprise relevant for the farm-produced value chain. Startups will be promoted to facilitate Drone Shakti through varied application and for drone as a service. Impact. Budget 2022 was a high on development and inclusive agenda of the government, with significant allocation on infrastructure, healthcare, education, fintech, agriculture, etc. Initiatives around tele-mental health, digital university, set up for supporting supplementary education, highway, cargo terminal, Kisan drones, etc. would all go a long way in supporting employability and employment within India. Similarly, policies aim to foster adoption of electric vehicles and a committee set up for promoting private equity venture capital ecosystem would be beneficial in longer term. Real estate proposals. Affordable housing was clearly in focus with the finance minister announcing the allocation of rupees 48,000 crore under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Around 8 million houses are expected to be completed by 2023 across the country. Impact. From a policy perspective, the allocation to PM Awas Yojana and the intent to reduce time for obtaining construction approvals as well as reduce the cost of capital for consumers, credit guaranteed of rupees 50,000 for hospitality sectors are all welcome measures. The proposals to replace the Special Economy Zone Act with a legislation that would permit states to partner in creating enterprise and service hub and push for digitization of land records are also laudable. The budget has also proposed the rationalization of tax withholding provisions relating to purchase or rental of properties and including units of real estate investment trust within the bonus stripping divided provisions. Metals and minings. Proposals. The budget has proposed an increase in outlay for capital expenditure. It also proposed the setting up of 4 pilot projects of coal gasification and conversion of coal into chemicals. Impact. The increase in outlay for capital expenditure may provide the much needed impetus to mining and metals industry, which forms the backbone around which blueprints for capital expenditures are drawn up. The pilot project for coal gasification and conversion of coal into chemicals will boost the transitions to a carbon neutral economy. A slew of measures have also been announced for indirect tax perspectives, such as extensions of custom duty, exemption on import of steel, scrape by another year up to March 31st, 2023, and revocation of anti dumping and countervailing duties on specified steel products. Retail proposals. Though there was no specific proposals for this sector, the thrust on employment, infrastructure, and financial inclusion is expected to boost consumption over the medium period. The 1.5 lakh post offices into core banking system is a positive particularly for rural India and a high minimum support price MSP. Allocation will drive consumptions of fast-moving consumer goods, produce in hinterland. Impact. With an estimated gross domestic product GDP growth of over 9% and incentives in budget, consumer good companies could expect an increase in consumption over the short to medium term driven by thrust on investment, employment, and financial inclusion. We also see an uptick in rural consumption driven by the budgetary allocation towards infrastructure building. Rationalizing of import duties as part of Make in India incentives is likely to give a strong impetus to consumption, bringing sustainable growth for consumers. E-commerce and retail sector. For the retail sector, reeling under the pandemic, the budget have very little direct support to offer. The direct and short-term benefits with respect to putting more money in consumer wallets or special subsidies or support to industries in general seems to have got lesser emphasis. Green energy. Proposal. The government will launch sovereign bonds and increase the funding for solar equipment. It will also install 500 gigawatts of non-fossil capacity by 2030. Reduction in emission intensity of GDP by 45% over 2005 levels. Source 50% of electricity from non-fossil by 2030 and reduction in carbon emission by 1 billion tons till 2030 and achieving net zero by 2070. Impact. The budget is inclusive and focused on sustainable development of a climate-adaptive and resilient Indian economy. It aims at digitally integrating participative economy planning, with support from efforts of all stakeholders. It builds the base for a technology and innovation led economy, driving design led manufacturing, renewable growth, improving logistic effective, clean mobility, storage, and battery solutions for transitions to electric vehicles. Developing agri-tech solution transforming health and education sectors and achieving financial inclusions, it supports the development of sunrise business areas and reduction of carbon incentive by supporting the emergence of technology and innovative financing ecosystem. It has a clear direction around stimulating a circular economy by developing a policy and regulatory framework and facilitating innovation. Textile proposals. The custom duty exemption announced on items such as embellishment, trimming, buttons, zipper, lining material, and packaging boxes would beneficial apparel exporters. The extension of emergency credit guarantee scheme for micro, small, and medium enterprises for more 1 year and increasing the guarantee by 50,000 crore. Impacts. The abolishing of concessional duties on imported capital goods, especially for fabric manufacturing and processing, will increase the capital cost of new project. Replacement of existing machineries till such machineries are manufactured in India. There are no major announcements specific to textile sector. After the big ticket announcement on production link incentives for textile focusing on man-made fabric and technological textiles and mega textile, PORC PM Mitra scheme last year. While phasing out of custom duties, exemptions on fabrics will support the growth of domestic textile manufacturing in long run. It is expected to adversely impact the competitive of apparel exporters in short run. The extensions of emergency credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs for 1 more year and increasing the guaranteed by rupees 50,000 crore is also expected to benefit over 50 lakh MSME units in textile and apparel sector. Petrochemicals proposals. Reduction of custom duties on certain critical chemicals, namely methanol, acetic acid, and heavy feedstocks for petroleum refining, while increasing the duty on sodium cyanide. To promote blending of fuel, the government proposes to charge an additional differential excise duty of rupees 2 per litre from 1 October 2022 on unblended fuel. Impact. The changes in the custom duty of petrochemicals and petroleum feedstock used by domestic manufacturer result in reduced cost of impetus and correction of inverted duty structure. Setting up of pilot projects for coal gasification and conversion of coal into chemicals are important, primarily to reduce dependence on methanol and acetic acid, which top the list of imported chemicals in terms of volume. The lack of availability of cheap natural gas, guarded nature of technology, and stiff competition from Middle East and China are major barriers to methanol and acetic acid production. Reduction in the basic custom duties for chemical, which helps in development of downstream value chain till the time some commercial capacities come online. The focus is to continue to remove anomalies and challenge in indirect tax regime, especially the inward duty structure which impedes the Make in India policy. Telecom proposals. Spectrum auction will be conducted to roll out 5G service, and a scheme for design led manufacturing in 5G will be launched. The National Capital will also launch a scheme for design led manufacturing to boost 5G. To enable affordable broadband and mobile service proliferation in rural and remote areas, 5% of annual collection under Universal Service Application USO fund will be allocated. Impact. Auctions for 5G spectrum and rollout will happen in fiscal year 2022 to 23. The rollout across the country will also happen much faster than previous generation rollouts, with completion of fiber network in all village by 2025. Focus on digital education, including digital universities, will further push the need for high speed broadband, while the details of production linked incentive PLI for design led manufacturing in 5G space are awaited. It could be broadened beyond manufacturers to the telecommunication service providers and telecommunication infrastructure players. Also, the USO funds have historically been used for the rural infrastructure rollout. A 5% allocation towards research and development and commercialization of technology could help some of the indigenous niche players building up technology around ORAN and private networks. Infrastructure proposals. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan announced with an aim to making logistic connectivity seamless. The national highway networks will be expanded by 25,000 km with an outlay of rupees 20,000 crores via financing. A scheme of expressways will be formulated to facilitate faster movements of people and goods. Railways will develop new products and logistics service for small farmers and small and medium enterprises. Impact. The Gati Shakti initiative highlights the importance of quality multimodal transport in achieving overall logistic cost at around 14% of GDP as against 8 to 9% for advanced economies. This is clearly a factor which needs to be addressed for attracting quality anchor investors across sectors. Infrastructure financing has also been mainstreamed with particular focus on environment and sustainable. As evident from announcement around Green Bank's focus of National Infrastructure and Investment Fund and National Small Industry Corporation funds of fund on renewable sector, etc. For the rural economy and social sector in particular, the budget refers to blended finance as an option. This would again be linked to social stockage exchange and initiative. Capital goods proposals. The government is planning a gradual phase out of concessions tariff rates offered for capital goods and product imports. The budget 2022 to 23 has proposed a 7.5% tariff on all such projects and service. Exemptions are being introduced on inputs like specialized casting, ball screw, and linear motion guide to encourage domestic manufacturing of capital goods. Impact. The production linked incentive schemes and other government measures have augmented investment in various sectors like food, textile, electronics, chemicals, etc. However, the dependencies on import of capital goods still continues. Increase in custom duties on capital goods in this sector would mean that such investments would be a dearer and thereby also affect cash flows and profitability. Thus, companies would have to look at options to reduce such an impact. The increase in duties would enable a twofold benefit. One company would now try to procure capital goods locally, and the second Indian companies and the MNCs would now look at greenfield and brownfield expansions in capital goods sectors as well as the increase in duties on capital goods coupled with various intensive schemes would boost the investment even in the capital goods sectors and complete the value chain in terms of intent of Make in India. IT proposals. Blockchain enabled digital currency will be issued by Reserve Bank of India starting 2022 to 23. The government is promoting digital economy, digital health ecosystem, and e-passports among others to drive India's growth. Impact. Nearly every sector is expected to receive digital impetus driving further growing in technology and related sectors. The number of digital initiative plan digital currency, PM Gati Shakti, e-passport, Kisan drone, etc. are not insurmountable but transformational and will require a build-up of a complete ecosystem, creating significant direct and indirect opportunities for technology and business process management sector. Many of these proposals will have significant downstreams opportunity for software, hardware, and service companies. The government plans to make financial service available to everyone with planned connectivity of 1.5 lakh post office to core banking system. Digitalization of financial service will not only reduce the cost of service but will also make it available to large base. This, along with digitalization opportunities available across different industries, will likely give rise to entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem. Agri and allied services. Proposals. The government will promote the use of Kisan drones for crop assessment along with chemical free farming. National Banking for Agriculture and Rural Development NABARD will finance startups for agriculture and rural enterprises. And these startups will include inter-area support to farmer produce organizations, machineries for farmers on a rental basis at farm level and technology including InVIT base. Impact on agriculture, some new age reforms like delivery of digital and high-tech service to farmers in public-private partnership mode. Use of Kisan drones to aid farmers have been announced. Also, to encourage startups in business of lease machineries for farmers and providing technology including IT-based support. Announcement of launch of new fund had been made. Similarly, proposals on step for promotion of chemical-free natural farming, updating the syllabus of agriculture universities to meet the need of natural organic farming, modern day agriculture have been made. To increase domestic production of oilseeds and reduce dependence on imports, proposals to implement a rationalized and comprehensive schemes have been made. From tax perspective, announcement on review of concessional custom duty rates on capital good has also been made. So, here we have completed with the impact of budget 2022 on the various sectors of economy. So, hope that you like this video. Do share this video. And thanks a lot for supporting our channel. And if you're new here, then please do subscribe our channel and press the bell icon so every time we upload a new video, you get notified. Thanks for your precious time over here and have a nice day. Stay tuned with ProMind.